Welcome to Bonnie's Beat. I'm your host, Bonnie Squires. We're coming to you from Radnor Studio 21 in beautiful downtown Wayne. We like to bring you VIPs who are doing good things for the world, for the community, in academia, in charities, in business, in medicine. And our guest today probably has his finger in all of those areas, right, Dan? Our guest today is Daniel Keating III, who is the famous head of Keating Construction. And today we're going to talk about one of his upcoming projects, the Wynn Casino in downtown Philadelphia. Although he's a Villanova University grad and he's a Gladwin person.
What a pleasure to be here with you.
Where's the bag with the money? I thought there'd be.
You told me later.
Oh, okay. I love the slot machines. I'm an Atlantic City slot machine person.
Oh.
Although I've made a couple forays at Valley Forge and once at the Sugar House, but Harrah's and Bally's are right. Which ones did you build down the shore?
Well, we built Bally's, Wild Wild West, Annie Oakley. We've done, all told, about 26 casino projects.
26
throughout the
casinos.
country.
Wow. But you don't just do casinos. You do tons of things. What other things?
Well,
You do at universities?
We do. I'm now on the consulting side. My construction company I sold in 2009, but in my career we built over 1,000 buildings in the Philadelphia marketplace.
1,000.
Right.
What are a couple that we'd really know about that are outstanding?
Well, as you accurately stated, we worked for most of the universities. We built the Pennsylvania Convention Center. We built the...
Oh, you go small. You like little teeny things.
Small. Built most of Philadelphia International Airport over a course of time. Work out at the... we've done some very interesting things for clients like the United States Postal Service, where we've represented their interest over the years in developing and constructing various venues throughout the country. So I've had a remarkably fun career over 40-some years. Some ups, some downs, but a lot of fun projects. And I'm at that stage in my life now, Bonnie, where I get the pleasure of working for the people that I really want to work for and with. So, and you're one of those people, by the way. How long have I known you? 30-some years now?
A long time.
Long time.
Now, I want to show a picture of Steve Wynn, who is the mega casino mogul, right?
He is the mega casino mogul. I couldn't have phrased it better.
And he only wants to spend $1 billion to build a casino on the waterfront.
Correct.
Columbus Boulevard.
Correct.
$1 billion. I think that's more than any. The Revel was $1 billion, but they're in deep trouble.
Well, the Revel is a different product in a different state. And as you know, back in the 2005 era, the state intended to build 14 casinos, 7 racinos, 5 standalone casinos, and 2 resort casinos, one in Valley Forge, which you mentioned, and one in Nemacolin. There were to be 2 large casinos in the city of Philadelphia. One happened and is continuing to happen. That's Sugar House, which has been very successful with very strong developers. The other was to be Foxwoods, which did not happen.
You know, I always said I put my money on, on the law firm that was backing that, and I don't know what happened there. Do you know what happened?
Well, there's probably a long discussion about what happened or what didn't happen, but at the end of the day, it didn't happen. So the state made the, I think, strong decision to support the gaming initiative and to build the second casino in Philadelphia, and put out a request for proposals, and there are 6 respondents. All 6 submitted. The state, through the Gaming Commission, is in the process of vetting out those 6. And at the end of the tunnel, there will be one selected, presumably, assuming that the Gaming Board all agrees, will be one developer to do a project. And there are, what I would say, 5 more regional proposals and one very, very different proposal, and that, of course, is by the mogul that you just spoke of, Steve Wynn.
Steve Wynn. Let me hold up. This is the concept of what it would look like. What is the Girard Avenue exit of I-95?
Correct. The site is on Delaware Avenue. It is north of Sugar House, So if you were looking at Sugar House from Delaware Avenue, it would be to the left.
How many blocks to the left?
Well, it's about a mile and a half or so.
Are they
So-
fainting?
Oh, well, it's a very interesting and a very, very good question, because so many existing casinos are concerned about the pilfering of clients. The win phenomena is just that. It's a phenomena. As I mentioned to you, they are a very well-moneyed, publicly traded company with a capitalization of over $12 billion, with several billion dollars in cash in the bank, who have committed to build the largest private project in the state of Pennsylvania that I know of in the history of the state. And when compared to other casinos and other venues, interestingly enough, when Wynn built out in Las Vegas, one of his closest competitors was Caesars. Their revenues actually went up 30%. That is a staggering number. So instead of pilfering clients, they actually brought people to the table.
Isn't that interesting?
So in the case of Philadelphia, which is screaming for tourism, which was part of the original legislation, bringing people to Philadelphia,
Yes.
Wynn has a network to market its product worldwide. Worldwide. They have 4 active casinos right now, 2 in Las Vegas and 2 in Macau. The Wynn and the Encore in both.
Macau, so they're going to fly in Chinese big gamblers, right?
We've already engaged in discussions with airlines, with railroads to bring people to Philadelphia. It is a phenomenal opportunity for this city and for this state. And obviously I'm prejudiced, but as I said earlier, I'm at that stage in my life where I have an opportunity to work with the people that I think are the best and the brightest. And there is no question in my mind that this is such a home run for this state and for this city. And I say that now because to the previous boards, to compliment them, they created an industry in the state which we did not have. It's been a multi-billion-dollar.
Doesn't Rendell get a lot of credit for
Absolutely, absolutely. And those that vetted the process and created this opportunity. But the world has changed. And if you study what's going on in the gaming world, I think there are 37 states now that currently have gaming.
37.
I think maybe more now, but
And I just
37.
saw something on television this morning about online poker gambling.
Another issue, another competitor, if you will, in the marketplace is online gaming. So if you look at New Jersey and the issues they're confronting right now, if you look at Ohio, look at West Virginia, Maryland, Delaware, other states that will be, if you will, putting a movement around the state of Pennsylvania to take those gaming patrons. There is no time, and I know of in the history in this state of gaming, where it's more important to have a well-capitalized firm that can ride not only the good times, but work with the state through difficult times. And they're difficult times. It's a very, very competitive business. It is not an industry that should be suffering, if you will, those who don't have a history or really can't perform. We've lived it. As I told you, we've built a number of these casinos.
26 casinos around the country.
Around the country.
Woo.
And probably half of them in the state of Pennsylvania. But we were the builder for Rivers Casino in Pittsburgh. It's a beautiful facility, and unfortunately, in the middle of the construction, the developer of that went bankrupt.
Ouch.
And that left us with an extraordinary receivable into the tens of millions of dollars. And to the credit to the gaming board and to Neil Bloom, who is the principal at Sugar House, they came in, supported our efforts, and every contractor and vendor was paid 100 cents on a dollar. But we saw firsthand what can happen with difficult times and underfinanced projects. So to have a friend and a client like Steve Wynn with a balance sheet that supports these things to provide a product which is extraordinary. It'll be 320 rooms or so. It'll be a gaming facility.
320. It's gigantic.
Well,
Will that be the biggest one in Pennsylvania?
well, I think there's only one other casino right now that has a hotel, and that would be Sands. And they're probably in that 300 range, but it is
The
not
Sands is what, in Bethlehem?
in Bethlehem. But they're not comparable. The Wynn product is a hotel room that's 900 square feet, about 3 times the size of a normal hotel room. And I'm very interested in it because, as you may know, I'm the owner of the Hyatt Hotel at Penn's Landing.
I didn't know that.
And
Oh, that's wonderful. I picked the Hyatt when I was inducted into the Public Relations Hall of Fame. It was a gorgeous luncheon.
well, if I'm not mistaken, I think, weren't you also one of the top 50 women in 2008 in your profession?
Yes.
See, I read your...
Unfortunately, Corbett cut the funding, so they don't do that anymore. He cut a lot of things. There's no commission for women anymore. There's no African American commission. I challenged him in New York at the Pennsylvania Society, and he started to give a lame explanation like, well, he combined them all, and blah, blah. So I just said, but we haven't heard of a single one of these commissions since you took away the funding. He didn't have an answer. And all the people at that seminar came up to me afterwards and said, thank you, Bonnie, thank you for giving it to him. But he found money for something in Pittsburgh. He's from Pittsburgh, so he found money to build, I don't know whether it was a football stadium or something he found money for. He finds money for the things that he likes.
Why am I not surprised that you would ask Corbett those questions? You know?
And you know, I mean, his wife is lovely, but she had, the year before he abolished the Commission for Women, his wife was on the committee for the governor's conference on women, which Rendell started and did for 8 years. It was phenomenal. Get 3,000 professional women from around the state, okay? Susan Corbett was on the committee. She welcomed everybody, you know, a couple of years ago. Last year, like in February, she met with the committee, and they were expecting her to go carry the message to her husband and get the money for the conference this year. They never heard from her again. They didn't get a dime from the governor, so they took the governor's name off it, and it's just the conference for women. I asked him about that too. He didn't have a good answer.
You should get my wife involved. You know it. She's a...
Yes, well, you know what he did say? He said, and I said, and your wife didn't even show up? You didn't even show up. I said, they had Arianna Huffington was a keynote speaker. This was a big deal, 4,000 professional women from around the state of Pennsylvania. And all he could say was, well, I'll try to arrange my schedule next year. Sure he will, because he's running for re-election.
Now.
Now.
You can't
Okay,
take
we'll have
that.
to have him on the show, so give him equal time.
Well, one thing he did do is continued this process of putting a new casino, which is a major generator of revenue for the state of Pennsylvania, which might assist in some of the things that you're doing.
Okay.
So I wholeheartedly support that program that he has initiated. And again, to my earlier comment, there are 5 people from the local side, and there is Wynn. And at the end of the day, to me, the differentiator between or among all of these various applicants is who can generate the maximum amount of revenue to the state of Pennsylvania, particularly given the competitive nature that we're in right now.
How does the state get money from people's gambling in casinos? I don't quite get that. I put my money in the slot machine, but how does it get to Harrisburg?
By car.
I know, I don't.
No, the state has the taxing authority, and it takes 54% of the slot revenue. They're the largest partner in the deal, and it takes a smaller percentage of the table game revenues. So it's a very, very strict, high performance.
I'm a big donor then to the state of Pennsylvania.
You are part of the process. That's right, you are supporting the state of Pennsylvania. So,
I have a diamond card.
well, you're exactly who they're looking for.
I know, sucker.
They should send a car for you. But these numbers become astronomical. And when all of the, hopefully the 14 casinos are up and running, the total amount of revenue generated to the state is millions and millions and millions of dollars, which get used for all kinds of programs, as you know. You probably know better than I do. But the fact is that, the marketplace is very competitive. The tax rate in New Jersey is smaller. Okay, it's only 8% or 9%. Tax rate in Vegas is smaller. The different states have different taxing numbers. Pennsylvania is on the larger side at 54%, which says that the operator has to be an absolute pro at what they do. Steve Wynn isn't here by accident.
Well, he was here once before, I remember. He came to town. He wooed a couple of big people. I think Ronnie Rubin was one of the developers. He wooed. Was here for a few days. Then he said, no, I'm not going to do it in Philly. Then he went to New Jersey, and they were all excited, and there were headlines everywhere in the Atlantic City press. And they said, no, I'm not going to do it in Atlantic City. And then he disappeared for a few years. What made him come back to Philly?
Well, so here's the story. He never left Philadelphia. He didn't woo. He was wooed.
Aha.
People asked him to come in and see if they could help salvage a project that was so damaged that there was really no ability for Wynn, as good as he is, to pull that out of the flames. His trip to New Jersey, unless I'm wrong, was really to go down there and watch the Duke, North Carolina basketball game. So I wouldn't get caught up in what he was doing down in Jersey at the time. But before he left, he was very clear to the Gaming Commission that he had the desire to participate in the Philadelphia process should it become available. The moment the state made the decision to put this license back in Philadelphia, Steve Wynn was the first one at the table. So he never lost his interest. You know, he's a Penn graduate. He's made significant contributions to this
Everywhere I
marketplace.
walk on campus, because it's my alma mater.
I know you went there.
Penn, you see the Steve Wynn, whatever. There's this gorgeous plaza outside Houston Hall. You see Wynn's name everywhere and in every edition of the Pennsylvania Gazette, alumni magazine.
Well, he's very loyal. He's
very generous.
Generous. And
but if you've got billions of dollars, what are you going to do with it? You got to give some of it away, right?
Well, I think he has been very generous, and some of the information I gave you kind of walks through what he's done in his career, from education, and from both he and his wife have done extraordinary things to help people out. But at the end of the day, he is at the top of the food chain of people in this industry. And if you look at his history in Las Vegas, he's responsible for Las Vegas. The money.
He resurrected Las Vegas.
He really did, and it's very evident when you walk through there and out there. If you take a trip to the Wynn or to the Encore and see the product that's developed, which we're highly encouraging people to do. It would be normal for people to want to see what the product is that he expects to bring. So just imagine now if you were on the other side listening to these proposals and somebody walked in and said, Bonnie, we have a site in your city. It's 60 acres. We're going to take 23 of those acres. We're going to give it to the community as a park. That 23 acres is larger than I think any of the other sites in competition, just the park side of it. We're going to spend $1 billion. We're not going to ask for any governmental assistance.
Wow.
We're going to hire 6,000 people. 6,000 people,
with
both in
Philadelphia zip codes, right?
With Philadelphia zip codes. People who live in this area who want to work. And what did that mean? When they went to the neighborhoods, you know, if you look at the history of gaming in Pennsylvania, it was a NIMBY. Nobody wanted it in their backyard, okay? But it happened. And what it's proven is that, okay, you know, this isn't so bad at all. We're not having all those ill things that people said were going to happen. So much so that the local neighborhood group that lives right by the proposed site voted 3-1 in favor of having this casino, and they have been extraordinarily vocal at both public and private meetings.
What's the name of that community organization?
The Fishtown community.
Oh, it's Fishtown.
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So, and there are several community groups in there, and they'll be the beneficiary of the park. They'll be the beneficiary of the waterfront. If you look at the back of, I think is it this one? This right now is really an old site.
Riverwalk.
It is a riverwalk.
That brings fond memories of San Antonio.
Yes.
They have a riverwalk that's out of this world. Is that what they were planning to do?
Well, when you say they, Wynn is certainly part of it, but credits to go to the city of Philadelphia and to those that are leading the charge. Mayor Nutter, Deputy Mayor Alan Greenberger are all pushing for the waterfront development. So Wynn has been deeply involved working with the city and coming up with a plan that aids the entire waterfront development process, creating a walkway from beginning to end so that you'll have complete use of the waterfront. That 60-acre tract of ground hasn't been in play now probably since the Second World War.
You know, it's very interesting you talk about that. I remember going to a press conference probably 30 years ago on the waterfront with Willard Rouse, the genius who decided to build taller than Billy Penn's hat. And he announced that he and Disney World were going to put together whatever they were going to put on the waterfront.
Right.
And then I remember 1 week after the publicity had been printed, he declared bankruptcy, and that was the end of the project. He must have known at the time. Why did he do that? Why did he have that press conference? Did you know Rouse?
I did. And you know, he had a lot of major wins, and he had some setbacks and whatnot. But to your point, when the presentations were made, he was undercapitalized to do that deal. And that is a tragedy that cannot happen in the city of Philadelphia right now. We don't need a selection process that potentially brings on a developer who is not capable of doing the enormous amount of work and sustaining all the issues that go with putting a casino project together.
Are you a partner with Steve Wynn on
I am
this?
not. I'm a consultant working on his behalf, but I consider him a...
You have stock?
I don't have stock. It's a publicly traded company, and you can buy stock, but I am not a stockholder.
Well, you could buy stock. I'm sure I couldn't afford to buy the stock.
Well, you know what? If you bought a stock, right now it's trading probably at $140 a share, plus or minus. I'm telling you, there are, if you follow him on the web, if you follow the organization and what they're looking to do and the accomplishments that they have made, and most importantly to me, the way they treat their people. To my knowledge, in his history in Vegas, I don't think he's had a layoff of people.
You're kidding. Even in 2008 with the recession and the bottom dropped out? That's amazing.
The oral presentations that were made at the convention center, I think it was earlier, where the public had an opportunity to speak. Employees of Wynn came in and spoke to the audience about what a difference it made in their life. Their salary, their benefits, the way they're treated, the opportunities that they get. I mean, people salivate to have an opportunity to work there.
Can we take a look at your website? What's the website again? It's
KeatingConsulting.com.
Keating-consulting.
Keating Consulting, right.
.com. And there's a phone number?
267-232-5752.
Okay. When do you think you're going to break ground? Well, who makes the decision as to who gets the contract?
Well, there's a gaming board, and there's a process that they go through
in
Harrisburg, and there are representatives from. I think there are 7 members on that committee, and they are appointed by the governor and/or by the caucuses in the state of Pennsylvania, and they are to be holier than Caesar's wife. Their deal is to take a look at the true presentations so that mistakes that were made in the past aren't made in the future, and to really vet out who can do it and who can't do it. And again, who is the best agent for revenue generating to the state of Pennsylvania. And again, having done so many of these and worked with people who say they can do it versus people who can actually do it, this is a winner. This is a winner, and you know, we bet on it. I think he's
Wynn's
the best.
amazing, and even though he has a medical problem with his eyes, what does he have, macular degeneration?
He has some issues, but
you can never tell when you see him, never.
And that underlines the character to me of the man. He is. I found him, you know, in my life. He's honest. He's straightforward. He has a temper. He believes in what he believes in. He thinks nothing, which I think is great, of calling you at 11 o'clock at night if he has a question or seeks an answer. And I tell you, I love working with him. I find him to be a great chapter in my book of life.
Well, you also are a philanthropist at University of Pennsylvania. The Abramson Cancer Center is one of your favorites, right?
It is.
Do you think you're going to have like a benefit for the Abramson Cancer Center if and when the Wynn Philadelphia Resort opens?
Well, I don't think there's anybody that is or wants to be more generous to the University of Pennsylvania than Steve Wynn. And I don't think it would take a lot of arm twisting or asking of Steve Wynn to participate in anything that's health and education related. That is kind of his focus, and he does a great job with it. And as you said, he's lived through issues in life. He's had his ups and downs. Came from an interesting background, and I've seen that people who are in need are usually the beneficiary of his good works. So I'll tell you what, though, I'll see if I can get you set up to ask that question, because both you and I have been the beneficiary of,
Okay.
I had Dr. John Glick, and you had
Dr.
others.
Mahmood, yes.
So I'm a forever fan of that institution,
Forever.
and Dr. Glick would be very upset if I didn't just say that right now, too.
You're a Villanova alum.
I am, 1971.
Did you ever do any work at Penn? I mean, did you ever study at Penn, or did you build any buildings at Penn?
We have been involved in a host of different projects, at Penn over the years, and at Villanova, and at Temple, and other schools around the area. So, in a 40-some-year career, it's hard to miss these things. You know, you fall into them sometimes. So,
What was your favorite course at Villanova?
my favorite course at Villanova. Well, I had I had wonderful courses at Villanova. I had a teacher out there by the name of Al Clay, who was an accounting professor who I just took a great liking to. He was a real...
You liked accounting.
I didn't like accounting. I liked the class. I don't like any classes. So to be true, I probably wasn't. My kids are all great students, and they work very hard, and God knows how that all happened. But fortunately, I have a smart wife. She takes care of those things. But you know what? I had a great time. I went to a parochial high school. I went to Cardinal Arrow High School, and then I went to Villanova University. And I've had a great run. I'm very happy. I've had high highs, I've had low
You're a
lows.
young guy. What do you mean you had a great run?
Have.
I see like 30, 40 more years ahead of you.
Well, you know, if you'll if you keep doing these stories, I'll hang in there with you, and we'll do these interviews. They're fun. They're fun.
When do you think you'll know whether or not Wynn got the casino deal?
I think they're on track probably to make a decision, hopefully before the end of the year.
Oh, really?
I hope so. I mean, I think that, again, there's only 6 people competing for one license, so they will do, I'm sure, very, very thorough due diligence on everyone. And
Governor Corbett wants to get it out of the way before next year's gubernatorial primary and election, right?
that I can't answer. I can't speak on behalf of the governor, but I think the process has its own life.
You must know the governor personally.
I've met him, but I can't tell you that I know him.
Oh.
He unlike Steve Wynn, he doesn't call me for anything.
But politics has to enter the equation at some point. Yes, no?
Well, I think there is a stream of consciousness that believes that politics will play a major part. I think there's also a stream of consciousness, from where I come anyway, that says that all politics and bravado notwithstanding, at the end of the day, for all the reasons I spoke of earlier, there has to be a clear choice that benefits the state of Pennsylvania, and that is a revenue stream, A, and B, tourism. Who is going to bring people from outside to Philadelphia? Is it 8th and Market or the Inquirer Building? I don't think so. They haven't in the past. I think that you'll see that South Philadelphia, I think it's jammed with people right now. This wind product sits on 60 acres of ground.
That's amazing that nothing's been done in how many years?
Well, for as long as I can remember, that's been a vacant piece of property.
Wow.
It's used for construction equipment storage and things of that ilk, not for anything that would benefit this state.
Yes.
And
Not income producing.
Not income producing. And the owner of the land, Jim Anderson, who's a wonderful builder.
We're going to have to do another one of these half hour because we've run out of time, Dan Keating.
I have so many more things to tell you.
I know. We'll do another one. Anyway, thank you so much.
My pleasure.
And I can't wait to see what the result is this fall. We'll see you on Bonnie's Beat next week.
My pleasure. Thanks.